G'day guys, my name's Josh, you can call me Jawoodle, and welcome back to 7 Days to Die, where we're back to test a couple of things and answer a question that I actually get asked an awful lot, and have been asked a lot over the last year and a half and probably more. And that question is, does the arrow slot force field, the zombie force field, still work in Alpha 20? Now I haven't built a new version of this design since I first came up with it, which was I think in late Alpha 17, I think I first came across that design. So it's been a heckin' long time since I built one, mostly because none of the updates that came out looked like they even showed signs of fixing it. So I kind of just left it as it was, and as far as I'm aware, it's always worked. But now, with Alpha 20, with the utter ocean, the plethora of new shapes that we have, I think it's only reasonable that I come back now and see if it will still work the way that I thought it would. Like the traditional half block arrow slits that we used to make it out of, I'm pretty confident that will work, but potentially a full arrow slit or shorter ones or quaddy ones or whatever, they might work better. So I'm gonna have a crack at it, build a couple and see how it goes, and hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll still be able to keep zombies out of our bases with nothing but sheer, well, willpower, but more just glitch power. The best way to test this, I think, to see if it still works, is just to dig a big pit in the ground and chuck some arrow slots over the top. But if you're new here or you haven't seen some of the old videos on the force field, I'm going to go through a bit of a walkthrough, a bit of a guide on how it works and why it works. So it's not just a matter of building the same blocks in the same way. It's important to understand why it does what it does. And kind of the key thing here is you have to have, it's one of the main issues I see a lot of people have when they ask why their force fields are broken. You have to have a pit underneath the arrow slots. The best way to think of it is just there is a hole in the ground the zombies can't cross. The arrow slots are just invisible to zombies, but not invisible to you and me. So you and I can use them, but the zombies can't. So it has to have a nice big pit underneath, which I have a nice big pit here. I just need to find the middle, just build out some blocks to about there and go from the opposite corner as well. Because normally, oh, that's the wrong spot. Normally I would have a pillar in the middle to hold up a platform for me to stand on. I deleted that though, so to build myself a new one. This isn't even square either, is it? That's a little bit silly. But yeah, you gotta have a pit underneath or else nothing's gonna work. There we go, got my pillar. So the force field around that is going to be what? 1, 2, 3, 4 blocks across, which is definitely doable. Now the golden rule I used to use was that however wide your force field was how deep you needed the trench underneath to be. So 4 blocks wide, you need 4 blocks of air below it to get it to work consistently. I think a 4 block trench underneath any size force field would still work fine. Basically, it has to be deep enough that the zombies see it as an obstacle and not just some way they could go into and dig their way out. So that should be fine. I'll grab myself just the regular old arrow slots that we've always used. And just because it makes sense in my head, I'm going to stick them down like that. Like a cattle grid, if you've ever seen one on a farm. So the zombies' hooves will slide on through the gaps, but us with our big webbed feet can make it over the top. That'll do good there. I'll do the same on the other side, all the way along. I will build a bit of a ring around the outside to hold it all together. But the important part here is just there's a nice big ditch underneath. I was just going through and filling out all of the arrow slot blocks, and it was going to be really annoying because it was going to throw off my symmetricality for a real good throwback to Alpha 17 by having to elongate one of the sides. But I'm pretty sure with our new, yeah, look at that. With our new blocks, we now have the ability to have arrow slot quarters, which just gets me all sorts of fizzy. Can I get you in the right spot, please? That looks good for that side. Oh, look at that. No excuses for ugly bases anymore. We have quarter blocks. Yes, I know it completely shoves its finger up at all sorts of physics, but whatever. That's fine. That's so good. I love having new building blocks. It's just tickling me in so many good ways. Here we go. Just chucking a couple of stairs around the outside to give the zombies an easier time to get to me. So basically the idea here is I stand in the middle and the zombies don't have a way to get to me. Now that has a whole raft of other issues, and it's another one actually that I see quite a lot of people having issues with force fields. If you don't give the zombies a way to get to you, their only way in their mind is to tunnel down, through the lip here down to the bottom and take out the column you're standing on. Because as far as they're concerned, there's no way across that big divot in the ground. So of course, they're going to tunnel down to the bottom of the moat and tunnel up the other side. That's the only way they think they can get to. So as this stands, this is really only going to test to see if the force field does actually still work the way it used to, not a viable base design. So don't build this. Don't build this unless you're building some other way, either just a path or a raised platform or something for the zombies to actually get in, because otherwise they're just going to break everything that you have. Give me a couple of Arlenes. Turn on your brains. Yeah, okay. I mean, that's good. That's exactly what I wanted them to do. You and me will just run straight across it and that will be fine, but they think they have to tunnel down through the moats to get across. Nice. That is a very, very good sign. That means the force field probably does still work. Alright, shit yeah. Alright, well now, I'll build in some way for them to get across to me and spawn zombies on the far side, and they should run all the way around and come to where I want them to be. I couldn't help myself. I had to get the paintbrush out and make it look a little bit nicer for me, just painting all the arrow slots red so I can see where the force field actually is. That gives you a much easier way to see that there, that's the path I want the zombies to take in to get to me. They're just regular ass solid blocks, nothing particularly fun or fancy at all. Just a block that I know that every zombie and his dog will be able to path across. So I want all the zombies on the far side. Give me a lot of you. And they should all, yep, easy as that. They should all funnel all the way around to them, get to that side, and then to dupe them, I can just run over here again, and they'll all go back the other way. Look, she thought about it. She thought about it. Go back to here. I'm gonna just play a ring a rosy with zombies all day long. The bigger I make the force field, the more time I'm gonna have. Alright, well, that works a bloody treat then. Oh, yeah, okay. You're getting a little bit adventurous. So it's not explicitly perfect. Okay, go away. It's not perfect anymore. One Arlene is still trying to like it go in a different way. In fact, what are you thinking at the moment? Interesting. Okay, so she went into destroy area mode rather than just attack a target mode, which is actually one of the things they brought in to circumvent killing corridors and stuff like that. So that's very interesting. But one zombie having a bit of a tickle on some concrete slabs isn't that much of a problem if the other 99 of the 100 zombies are coming through the way you want them to. They only go into that mode for a couple of seconds anyway. That's a pretty big success, actually. That worked. For a silly little spiral design, that's worked pretty bloody well. Before I move on and try something different, I do really want to harp on that point that you have to give the zombies an access route. If you don't give them an access route, they'll go into that destroy area mode, like that one zombie there did. That's there is no viable path, I just have to destroy the world until one opens up. Sometimes I go into that regardless, but if you don't give them some sort of way to get to you, regardless of how convoluted it may be, although I think the max for their pathfinding is 40 blocks, you have to give them a way in, or they will just tunnel through your force field. It's great for a wide variety of things, but you can't just build one of these things around your entire base and sit back with your heels up, because they will destroy everything instead. There are some measures they've taken to try to get through these things. My curiosity has been piqued a little bit. It used to be as if you built like a one-block trench. Again, this is really just a trench with an invisible covering over the top. It used to be that a force field had to be about 2 wide, or else zombies would try and just jump over the gaps and make their way through. But because this is a whole new world, a whole new alpha, I'm now curious if I can make a cheeky little snail spiral, a little bit of a turbo, to come into the middle like that. Yes, I know I've got a double ring in the middle, but I don't have enough room to make like a proper one-to-one spiral all the way around. But if I just go like that, will they run in a big old squirrely pattern, or will they just kind of hop and jump over the top of them? I'm curious. I want to give that a crack. Let's start them out there this time. Come on, they should go over to that bit there and work their way all the way around. There we go. I mean, the nice thing about this as well, I mean, they're moving very quickly and laterally as well, so it'd be a pretty interesting shot if you could make that work for you. Speaking of shooting, I apparently fail at that miserably, but yeah, okay, there's no jumping across, they just run around in circles. That was kind of fun, although now I want to know, if I did just make it 1 block gaps between each of the railings, I suppose, the paths they can take, perhaps they will just hop, skip, and jump across. Worth a test, I think. That should be pretty doable for any amount of zombies, but we'll see how we go. Chuck a couple of our leans down again. They'll probably get stuck and try and beat their way down, but... Oh, a couple of them made it across. Ow! Yep, see, there you go. Occasionally they get their springy frog legs going, like they're dining at a nice restaurant in France, and they start hopping about the place. Well, some of them just kind of run across it occasionally, just like they go far enough before they're pathing. Oh, jeez, that was a good jump on you. Before they decide to reconfigure themselves. All right, nice. I mean, yeah, you could potentially, I have tried this before a long time ago, you could turn this into like a prison cell for the zombies, drop them onto a platform where they can't get out. But same thing again, they'll just beat their way through until they have an exit point. So it does work to an extent, but not in any lengthy period of time. It's a pretty good example, actually, of why you don't want to build just single block force fields. Like, yes, they work-ish, but not in any sort of reliable way. Not that I trust my life to anyway. Grab those corner blocks again, copy that rotation, chuck it down into them. Man, having the new blocks to play with just gets me so excited. So many new options are now available to me. I just like going through and figuring out what the best ones are. And I also like having lines that make sense. Just having nice, smooth angles and everything just sits so well with me. Like, puts me at peace. I suppose some of you might be rightly asking what the point of the force field actually is if you have to give the zombies a viable option of entry for it to work as planned. And basically, it's just a wall that you never have to do any upkeep on. A regular ass wall. If a big enough horde shows up, they'll just decide to destroy the thing and carry on their merry way. But with this, there's no actual wall for them to destroy. You're taking advantage of how they think and how they plan their pathing to stop them going certain ways. So if you're going to build a big wall around your compound with one gate, that's the same as doing this around your compound with one gate, but way less upkeep and way more reliable as well. No like World War Z style zombie pyramids coming up over the top because they just don't think that's an option. But the way that I used to use it a lot, and the way that I think it works best, is things like garages and stuff like that, vehicle entry points. If you do have a proper wall, you can have a gate in your wall that the zombies won't ever think they can come through. You can put a force field down, you can still drive on through easy as you like, and the zombies won't follow you. And stuff like that, like for that kind of application, I don't think there's a better option. So we've tested the old school, the classic arrow slots, if you will, but now I want to know how it's going to go with some of the new arrow slots. So I'm going to highlight all of you and use the new block replacement tool, which to be honest, I'm not that much of a fan of. I miss the old K menu, the old just like obliterate everything in the blue block rather than going through each different block type and turning it to air. I'm just not a fan of the new block replacement tool. With stuff like this, it should work out pretty well. I'll chuck you down. In fact, I'll get you in the right rotation just to get you going the right way. Like that. Yep, that'll do. My blue block has gone. Highlight you to you. By the way, to do that, it's just the Z key. To get rid of the blue block, it's the backspace key. And you have to like highlight the area you want to use the replacement tool. So I want to turn all of you into that, which I think is left click on you, select you, and turn you into, I don't know, that one. Does that work? It looks like it did. All right, nice. Got to fix up the corners, but for the most part, yeah, nah, that's spiffing. Oh. Uh-oh. I think we've hit a problem. We've hit a snag that no amount of diligence and resources is going to overcome. This is going to break the whole design. It's now completely undoable and impossible. We don't have full-size arrow slit corners. We have the half-block corners. That's all fine. But I don't have this design in a full arrow slot. We've got the full fair income arrow slits and none of the quarter blocks. Can't do it. Can't do it. It's throwing off all the angles and all the things I love have been ruined. Well, I have to test it anyway, so I'm going to chuck down a couple of the smaller versions, but I am not happy about this at all, and we'll be reverting to type immediately after we're done here. Yep, we're all good. That's all the corner pieces done. Nice. Quickly give them a lick of paint though, so they look like I do actually belong here. So basically, this should all still work the same. I'm just curious if, like, because they are a different shaped block, even though ostensibly they're the same design, they are a different block in the game's calculation, so it may not work at all, even though it would seem like it should. So we'll get a couple of Arlenes. Turn on your brains. There we go. No, it's fine. It's fine. Okay, all arrow slots were created equal. I'll run over here, get you to turn around and come back the other way. You're not going along with the rest of the flock, which is a bit of annoying, but that's alright. Yep, no, okay. I'm pretty happy with that one. I feel like that proves the point that those big boy arrow slits will work if you just want to put on a couple of pirate patches and not have to look at the monstrosity that's hanging out down here. Yuck! I'm actually stoked with that. I'm really happy at how well that's held up over all of the alphas we've been through. So what? It works the same and works properly in Alpha 20, the same way it did in 19, 18, and 17 as well. So basically, since the new zombie AI has come in, this has been a tried and true and stable design. I'm stoked with that. I'm really, really happy that we came up with this a long time ago now, because it's super useful for a whole bunch of different applications. So simple as well. So bloody simple, and the worst thing that happens if it goes wrong is they fall into a pit, which means, you know, if you build them like a ramp or something, just a staircase out and away from the moat underneath, they won't break down anything. They'll just go down, realize they stuffed up, and go back out again. Easy bloody peasy. But to put it through the last of its paces before we wrap this up, I was gonna say I was gonna head over to this house over here, but it's already floating off the ground. Okay, we'll just ignore that. Apparently been in the desert a little bit too long, and mirages are playing tricks on our eyes. Anyway, we'll build ourselves a, man, things are going weird out here. We'll build ourselves a moat, a force field moat around this building and throw a horde at it and see if they work the way I want them to. Again, it should work the same as a wall. That should show up, run around the outside, and come in a way that I want them to so I can fight them as easily as possible. But I just want to put it through its paces and make sure that that still works. Tick off all of the boxes and scratch all of those itches. Shouldn't be too bad. I was gonna start getting digging. Gotta get rid of all this junk out here. I've dug myself my trench out around this house, and I kind of wish I had have not straight away, purely because it would have been a pretty good example of where the force field's super useful. You've got a door here and a door on the other side. Now, you could build a big wall all around the outside out of concrete or steel or whatever and put some sort of door here and on the other side, but that means that every point around that house is an access point to the zombies. The other option is you could build a wall all around the outside and chuck down a force field in front of this door and in front of the other door, and then they won't ever try and get through there. You can save yourself a bunch of resources, especially for early game as well, and still give yourself good access points wherever you're going. Like, I did that back in the Fists Only series. In my base for that series, I had the old zombie-proof walls, which I don't think work anymore, and a force field for the entryway. And that's how it rolled, and I never had any zombies making their way inside my compound. So that was bloody awesome, but a long time ago now. So all I need to do is set about chucking down some arrow slots in a way that's going to work for me. I'm building on sander, which means I've got the structural integrity of a wet cum rag, so I can't really do that one. So instead, I need to build some supports around the outside. I was going through and just chucking down, you know, the supports, the framing for what's going to hold up my arrow slots, and it kind of occurred to me, if this is going to be, you know, the big test, the final test of this base, I should probably give it a real red hot crack and just see how well it actually stands up to anything. So instead of concrete, I'm going to go with wood. Really put it to the test. Like, it's a 64 zombie horde line coming up as well, so should be pretty considerable. But, oh, actually, that's another cool thing that I discovered. Instead of holding R and like hovering over that and letting go, just this moment of like 2 minutes ago, if that, not 4 minutes, 2 minutes ago, I realized if I hold shift and tap R, it brings up that menu straight away. I don't know if that's news to anyone out there, but for me, it was a fantastic thing for me to stumble upon. I'm very happy to have it. I will need some stairs, please. I will need you. I will, oh, I did it the old-fashioned way. I'll also need you, and I'll also need just bog stock normal. There we go. I can now go through. I will grab a little sample of you, just a little tickle. That one, replace you with those. Nope, that was the wrong one. That one. Grab you. There we go. There we go. Now all I have to do is just go through and replace all of this stuff with their wooden versions. This could be bad. This could be bad. But I have faith. I have faith that the AI won't let me down. But anytime I've had faith in 7 days before, it's normally ended badly for me. It's taken a fair chunk of my time to get all of the boards down. I did say a little while ago that this was a good thing to do if you were trying to like save resources early game. Clearly, digging a big hole around the entire POI and all of the blocks that go into this is relatively resource intensive. Not quite as much as building an entire concrete wall or whatever you might want to be doing. But if you're playing multiplayer especially, if you assign 1 or 2 people to this kind of job, it'll be done in a day or less. So not a massive deal, I don't think, but definitely isn't as cheap as a couple of frames. I will need my corners as well, my lovely corners, and my new favorite blocks. Can I just like copy the rotation? Nah, I can't. Okay, that's fine. Just get you up onto the top, slot you into your places. We're almost ready to go. That's looking bloody lovely. I like how that's turned out. I am just going to leave it as a wood texture this time rather than repainting it. I think it looks fine how it is. Just need to get rid of that lot to chuck in the full-fledged block so the zombies have somewhere to walk through. I'm kind of anticipating they're probably not going to spawn in this, you know, Monument Valley bit over here. They'll probably spawn out in the tundra out there. So that's what I'm hoping for. I'll just quickly make sure my God mode's still turned on. Yep, there we go. And pop the camera out of my noggin and see how this goes. Because hopefully they'll show up and just run around the outside here and get through that bit. I'm curious how this is going to go, but I'm quietly confident, which is a recipe for disaster most of the time. Chuck you to them. Can't see a whole lot. Need to quickly turn up the brightness. That's a little bit better. Not by much, but by some. That's while they're all charging in. Let's grab a couple of lanterns and chuck them down so we can see what's happening. But already, oh yes, already it's already going well. They're making their way around. Look at that. Look at that. Nothing but a couple of bits of wood and everything's already going really bloody well. I'll quickly murder you guys as you get to the front door so that the rest of the clowns can all spawn. I can see if any of them are going to take some deviations. But so far so good. So far really bloody so good. They always made it to me though. That's fine. That's come up so well. That's perfect. I've put some lanterns down and removed some of the fog so I can get a better view of how this is all going to pan out. I'll just go right up over the top. Kind of hard to see the zombies, but when they're moving, it'll be far easier. Oh, yep. That's a couple of undead mops making their way to it, all from the side. I wanted them to, and they are all coming around, and none of them are trying to get across. So that's the all-important part. That's why you need to have that bridge so there's an option for the zombies to get across, because otherwise, well, it just doesn't go well. They will tunnel through, and clearly made out of wood, that would go badly, but just purely on how they are able to, you know, make their way around and beat up on me there, but not one of them tried to go the wrong way. It's all based on how they see the ground, or lack thereof. That is bloody perfect. Look at them. Not one. All of them coming around exactly the right way. Oh, the force field is still perfect for Alpha 20. I'm continuing to send a bunch of horde waves at the house to see if any of them do get a little upset with the new layout and start trying to beat their way through. But so far, so good. Nice big red blood moon over there. Yeah, look, even these ones that are literally on the antipode of the force field are still going, yeah, nah, mate, even though I could just trundle across the little thicket here, I'll go the long way round. Bloody lovely. What a way to protect your house without spoiling the view. So good. God, I love this thing. It's just, there's something about it working so well that just makes me so happy. I don't know. It just tickles me that little bit, and I love it. So there you go. I think I'm going to leave this video here. Hopefully, fingers and toesies crossed, I've explained it well enough that you understand how it works now. If you were one of those people that were having issues with the force field, I hope that fixes some of your problems for you. It's super simple if you build it right, but just like any sort of bases or builds that take advantage of how the zombies think, if you do build it wrong, you are going to be in for a little bit of a bad time. So hopefully that all makes sense and it's all clear as mud. But I'm going to have to leave this episode here. That doesn't mean that I'm done with Zwoodle Park and like building and testing and stuff just yet, because apparently, rumor has it there's been an update to the AI for the killing corridor that makes things a little bit less perfect as it once was. So there are some things I want to go and rehash and have a look at. Plus I really enjoy base building videos. So sprinkled throughout my let's play series, I will do the occasional video like this of exploring what's possible in the 7 days world. But I'm gonna have to leave this video here and come back to explore that world in another episode, because this episode is done. So thank you guys for watching. Most of all, thank you to the patrons of Patreon who made this episode possible. If you liked it, make sure you hit the like button down below, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter. If I don't talk to you there first, I'll see you in the next episode. Have a good one.